Yeah, it's trending Tuesdays, where the culture meets the conversation. Yeah, every Tuesday we're setting the tone. Latest trends, let it be known. Voices rising, stories unfold. Thought-provoking, fresh and bold. From the mic to the movement we bring. Conversations that matter, hear wisdom sing. Insight, purpose, food for the soul. This is the place where ideas grow. It's trending Tuesday. Tune in, stay ready. Inspiration served hot, calling mostly green. With Chef Eddie. Redefining progress, changing the way we speak. Real talk, real life, every single week. Yeah. Oh, organic living, mind and play. Healthy conversations that elevate. From the kitchen to the culture we see. Growth, wellness, and authenticity. Laugh, learn, and be entertained. Meaningful dialogue, never the same. If it's trending, if it's true, we're bringing it straight to you. It's trending Tuesday. Tune in, stay ready. Inspiration served hot, call it mostly greens. With Chef Eddie. Redefining podcasts, changing the way we speak. Real talk, real life, every single week. Yeah. Sponsored by Danny Davis and Katie at TC, building community. Yeah. Inspiring change.
Hey, what's up, everybody? You know what time it is. Another edition of Trending Tuesdays with yours truly, Jeffrey L. Boney. We're right here in the K. Davis studios, right over here in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas, with our live studio audience. Give us a round of applause if you are in the building. All right, man, we have a lot of great things going on. I know that everybody's watching me tonight instead of the State of the Union, which, you know, I don't blame you. Because we know what we're going to hear, a bunch of lies. And, well, anyway, I don't even want to talk about him right now. But I will say that we're in the midst of a very important primary election going on. And I want to encourage each and every one of you, regardless of the county in which you live, go out and vote. Go out and vote. Your vote matters. Your voice is made by your vote. You got to have the power with your vote to make change, to bring about change. You can complain all day. You can complain to me. You can complain to my guests. You can complain to everybody in this audience, but nothing is going to change politically unless you go out and vote. Your vote is your voice, everyone, and I cannot emphasize that enough. And so I want to encourage you to do that. Like yesterday, voter apathy is real, and we need to focus more on voter education because there's a lot of people just don't know what's going on. I'm in the midst of an election myself right now, running for Fort Bend County Treasurer in the great county of Fort Bend County. And one of the things that I'm seeing, people coming to the polls, not knowing what's on the ballot, who's on the ballot. I even had a lady come to me and say, I just came to vote for Jasmine Crockett. I don't know anybody else. Who should I vote for? And that's a dangerous place to be in when you're trying to encourage people to come out to vote, but they do come out to vote, but they haven't done any research, they're not prepared, and they're trusting other people to give them the answers. And so you don't know if the people that they're asking are going to give them the right choices. And so I think we need to focus, all of us. It can't just be the elected officials. Everybody has a responsibility to educate, equip, and empower our community, because those folks that live next door to you, to the left, to the right, across the street, adjacent to you, those people are probably going to vote for people that may not have our best interest at heart. So it's important for us as a community, as a village, to work collaboratively together to make sure we're voting for the right people, doing the right things, all right? There's also 13 amendments on the ballot that you need to pay attention to. So some of your ballots may be long, but go print your sample ballot. The League of Women Voters has a sample ballot based off of where you live. Do your research before you go. It's not just Jasmine Crockett or Tallarico. It's not just John Cornyn and Paxson and Hunt. It's a ballot from top to bottom. And the people that impact you the most are your local elected officials, your county officials, your precinct judges, chairs. All those people matter. So I'm encouraging you, please, not only to go vote, but do your research before you do. All right, we're going to get into it today. We're talking about history makers, change makers, people that have made a difference and impact. And my first guest is exactly that. He is a nationally recognized playwright. He's had plays all over the world. And he is now a professor at the Texas Southern University, of which I am a proud alum. And he also is a graduate of Kashmir High School. Before we came on, he said he wished he could have went to Yates, but
I didn't say that.
but I'm so honored to have him as my guest here on Trending Tuesdays tonight, and I'm talking about none other than the Thomas Melanson. Give it up, y'all. Thomas, thanks for joining us on Trending Tuesdays, my brother.
Glad to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I wish you could have went to Yates too. It's okay.
What school is that?
So tell me, man. Let's start with your desire to want to be a playwright in the beginning. What gave you the passion to do? I mean, you wrote plays like The Diary of Black Men that toured 3 times in London, England, and What Happened in '65, and so many other plays that have been nationally recognized. What started this?
Well, the hunger and the need to tell our stories, the need to be able to record our history, to use the gift of writing to pass to the next generation our legacy. If we don't tell our own stories, who will? And if they do tell it, it'll probably be edited. So I've always desired to look at the stage. I often say the stage is the last frontier for telling our stories. And we need to use the stage to tell our stories because today we're under assault with banning books, and mostly African American books, from Toni Morrison to everybody else. So we're at a strategic time for playwrights and artists to tell our stories through our music, through our poetry, and through plays. And our younger generation needs it. With AI, which is on one hand is revolutionary, on the other hand, we need to save our children from depending on AI as the storyteller. See, we need live storytellers.
Yes, indeed. And so let's talk. I mentioned it, but the Diary of Black Men was a widely popular
Yes.
play. So tell the audience about that play, what inspired you to write it, and what is it about, and why has it picked up so much steam over the years?
I wrote it, it's been a while, probably 83 when I wrote it. As you know, when you're writing a play, you're just into the moment. I had no idea that the play would take off like that. And that's, as an artist, you're focused on basically what you're doing. But I think maybe the timing of it, I've always written plays that deal with relationships. So The Diary of Black Men was an example of trying to come up with a play that raised the question of who's most responsible for the success of the black family. And so I look at the black man and the black woman as the elements, the basic ingredients in our movement. So The Diary of Black Men, I thought it'd be a good idea to have 7 men on stage, each with a different personality, and each offering a solution to how they would relate to black women. So I had these 7 characters, a minister, a guy who considers themselves a pimp daddy, a working class. I thought this would be a good mix of black men talking about black women. But the aim of it was to raise the fact that we need each other and the black family is needed. So it was about celebrating black womanhood and celebrating black manhood. And it of course, according to Jet Magazine, was the longest running play in black theater history.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's give him a huge round of applause for that. So let's go backwards a little bit more. So your desire, your passion, inspiration to write, did it begin in high school or earlier than that, or what actually gave you the bug?
Well, I thought it would be a good way to rap to a girl using poetry.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I tried. But no, I love it, poetry, and I loved the library. That was my place of comfort, and to go to the library and read poetry and read all of the great books. But I've always desired to write, and so I would, in early days at Cashmere, I would perform on the stage with my poetry. I would even take my poetry to various churches. I just loved the power of language. And I wrote my first play in 1972 called Just a Dream. And so from there, I continued to write, just the need to just write and learn. The process of being a playwright is to continue to write to learn your own technique. So the more you write, the more you're not only discovering yourself, but you're discovering what's your strength as a writer. So continue to write through the 70s and the 80s, and I'm still writing today, every day.
You have anything coming out soon?
I have a play that I hope to do. I'm going to try to have a stage reading of it, and it deals with this whole idea of banning books. And it's a small town, and I have two librarians. Both of them are protagonists, antagonists, and so it's a struggle to save our children and to confront this idea of banning books and making it illegal to read the truth.
Was there any moment in your writing starting, you said 72 was when you wrote your first,
Yes.
that you got discouraged at all or said, you know what, I think I'm going to do something else?
Well, my wife told me to stop writing and get a job.
Oh, speaking of which,
Yeah.
you
No,
told me.
I'm kidding.
You told
my
me.
My wife did not say that.
You told me beforehand, y'all need to know this. I have a tendency of prying into people's lives and asking key questions. I asked him how long he had been married, and he said
54 years.
54 years, y'all.
Yeah.
54 years.
Yeah.
And I asked him what the secret was, something that all of us need to know, and he said,
When my wife asked me to do something, 2 words: yes, baby.
yes, baby. Yes, baby. No, but was there any moment in time though that you said, and I just this is not working, or maybe you felt like people weren't getting your work, and that you really didn't have that inspiration anymore, that you wanted to give up?
Yeah, there are moments when you're writing. Writing is a kind of as writers, we write alone, and we'll write in isolation in terms of trying to get our imagination sparked. But there are times when I've written many plays that didn't get attention or didn't get support. So to overcome that, I just continue to write. But yes, it's been, I've written a lot of plays even today that's never been produced, but I have to move past that and continue to write so I can have at least a body of work, so that if something happens, I can look back and say, well, I have a body of work that maybe if you don't like this play, maybe you'll like this play.
What is your favorite play that you've written, and why?
My goodness. It would be The Diary of Black Men, but see, The Diary is a certain kind of choreo poem, but I've written a lot of other stage plays like The Drums of Sweetwater, the Sagali and the Funeral of the Dangerous Word. I've written up, which was at Main Street last year. So it depends on the genre of the play, but I wrote Where Were You in 65, the rock and roll play. So I like each one for a different reason, but The Diary is what made me humble in terms of what a play can do for an audience. It was just so many people showing up to see the play that it made me humble, and it made me appreciate using the gift that God gave me.
What is one thing that you want to see happen as you're continuing to write, and before you leave this planet, that you want to see happen relative to your work?
That we use the performing arts, mine and other artists, that we continue to use the performing arts to tell our stories, to show that we are legitimate and a beautiful people, that we have a legacy, we have things to say, and that we need to continue to tell our stories through music, through dance, because we're facing a time when there's a guy in the White House who is saying, you don't need to talk anymore. EI is over. Don't mention the word black. Don't mention LGBTQ. Don't mention nothing. Just keep on being, I guess, colored people. But we need to continue. That is what inspires me, all of us as artists, to continue to write and perform.
Right. Well, let's give it up, y'all, for Thomas Melanson. Now, also joining me as he continues to sit here is another playwright and someone does amazing work, and I know has probably worked with Mr. Melanson in many capacities, is Miss Denise O'Neil. Let's give her a round of applause, everyone. Oh, y'all could do better than that. Denise O'Neil. All right.
Hello.
Denise, good to see you again. Welcome back to Trending Tuesday. She's been a guest before. So tell the people who you are, what you do.
I am Denise O'Neil. I am the founder and executive director for Shabak Enterprise Fade to Black.
And what is that?
That is a theater performing arts group that started in 2007. We hit our stride probably around 2013. And we are known for being pretty much the only theater company that exclusively and only produces world premieres for African American playwrights. So people do plays for black playwrights, but we're the only ones that do only new works. That's all we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So tell the people, you heard what Mr. Melanson said about, wanting people to continue to tell their stories using play. Why did you become a playwright, and what do you have to say relative to what he mentioned about people using AI and kind of the art, the fear of the art of writing dying off?
It's very real. AI can write a play for you if you give it enough prompts. If you tell it what to do, it will write your whole play. It can write any type of play. And so you have to look at that and say, it makes you self-reflect, because for some people that are very smart, it is a good tool, it's a good support system, but if you're not able to create, you cannot replicate the gift, and you're relying upon somebody else that's filling up the words for you. It's kind of like we used to see people do, they would ad-lib or they would lip sync.
Yes.
And they were doing these videos and singing and lip syncing. And I was like, my prayer is that you find your own words. Stop being behind someone's, singing voice. So it's a useful tool. However, if you're not gifted and talented to begin with, it is a cheat. It allows you to escape reality and not really be who you are. Because if someone says, okay, that was great, can you do another one? You can't. But the gift will replicate itself. And so it's important that we do tell our stories. We're not afraid to tell real stories. So we don't, I'm conservative, I have to be, but the work has to be done really well before I take that risk and put my life on the line. We're putting a play in front of people that uses words that are not allowed by everyone else. You have to have the tenacity, the bravery to put it out and say, this is a reflection of our culture and our community. Every year we do an open submission, and every year you see the trend and what's going on in the world, because it comes out in the writing of the playwrights.
Yeah, as a journalist myself, I think back and a lot of people are using AI now, and even a lot of journalists, and I'm an award-winning journalist, and it just pains me when I know someone has used AI, because I've looked at their writing in the past, and now all of a sudden, I'm like, no, that ain't your writing. I know, I've seen your writing, and that's not it. And I think that it does take away the creative juices and who you truly are authentically. And so I know it has to be the same in your world and in your industry, because there are people that need to hear the real you, and what your thoughts are, your struggles are, your experiences, or what you're trying to convey is, whether it's poetry or music or in your world plays. And so, what do you think about? I think about Tyler Perry. He just had another movie just came out. I don't know if you saw it, but Lord Jesus, I think he used some expletive like 87 times in the movie. But he started off doing plays, right? He started off doing plays, and now he's morphed into movies. So what do you think about his pathway, and is that something that you think is something that should be, I guess, model behavior, or is his uniquely different? I'll start
I'm
with you.
trying to hold my breath.
No, don't hold your tongue. I used to have a show called Real Talk, but you can be real on this show, Trending Tuesdays.
I'm not anti-Tyler Perry. I was on the road when he first started. Let me condense my comment here. What he's put together, and it's been a blessing for him. On one hand, he's got a lot of hours. He has. A lot of actors have had, jobs. But he put together a formula that's been basically, he's taken, he's put on stage a sitcom drama. It's melodrama. And the characters are one-dimensional. And what he's come up with is a basic plot line with a central character. What's her name? Medea. And so Medea, and I tell my students this, I'm not telling you not to watch Tyler Perry. Don't use him as a criteria for all black theater. Accept him in this category, that's him. But do not assume that when you go see The Fences by August Wilson, okay, or Raisin in the Sun, please don't be looking for Medea-like characters, because these are well-developed characters. So he's done a positive things. Don't get me wrong, but so I'll leave it there.
All right, that was good. I like that. What about you, Denise?
Honestly, I'm so busy on my grind.
Are you trying to be politically correct here? You don't want to just say this thing. Go ahead.
No, I always tell people, you have to give playwrights and writers room and space to grow and develop. Not all of his movies are bad. You can see the development from when he first started to where he is now. And he has graduated from one media source or media type to another. He's moved from theater to movies because it's more profitable, and it allows him to have a wider audience. That's great for him. I think, though, that sometimes, even when I look at the writing that I get from the playwrights, sometimes it's a little too much. It's like you need to figure out what the message is, what you want to leave with the audience, and then focus on that, and not so much for the shock value. But it works for some people, and other people it doesn't. Like I said, I am so committed to trying to grow and develop and maintain and keep alive, keep vibrant, and keep relevant my own legacy. I just don't have a lot of time to be criticizing anyone. There are some that I like, I don't care for, I move around. But yeah, he has moved away from the traditional way we have seen theater. He revolutionized theater. And so people struggle with seeing, is it canonized? Or they struggle with seeing the historical playwrights that have grounded themselves and become honorable because of their own true work, because of the resource, because of the life that they've lived. He has changed that for a lot of people. And so they have to remember, don't forget history. Don't forget the people whose back we are and shoulders we're standing on. Don't forget that and just think that's theater. It's really, I don't think it's even, when it first came out, there was a lot of people who were replicating that. And certain black people thought, I'm going to the theater. It's like, that's not theater. That's an entertainment. That's a show, But to them, they have made a new type of theater.
But do you think it's, I don't want to point fingers, but I'm asking this question. Do you think it's the generations past that have not effectively reached down to the youth to allow them the opportunity to embrace what true theater is. Because if they've had to learn it on their own or try to figure it out on their own, does someone bear responsibility for that? Because, where are we as it relates to reaching out to the youth? Do the youth have an appreciation for theater like that?
He was just bigger and bolder and in your face.
Yeah,
And so like a shining,
And he also was able to do something at a point where he opened a wider acceptance of his brand of theater for a lot of black people.
Yeah.
African Americans who didn't normally go to the big theater houses, now from churches lined up to see his play. I'm not being negative, but he was able to open the door for that. And also, remember, one of the techniques he used was radio. He had a formula, a kind of production formula, where first he would, the play has a religious element. He'd have gospel singers and the same type of plot line, and it worked because the black church, in my opinion, as I tell my students, is the birthplace of black theater. If it wasn't for the black church, there would be no black theater. It evolved out of that. So he was able to draw in a lot of African Americans who didn't know who August Wilson was.
Well,
and that's good.
That's sad that people know Tyler Perry and they don't know August Wilson.
Yeah, they don't. And so I tell my students, I'm not telling you don't see him, but please go to other regional theater. Go to the ensemble, okay? Come to Fade to Black to see quality shows. There are a lot of great playwrights and great theaters here. So my hat's off to him. He has a studio, I think, in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So he's learned how to be a businessman. That's all good. He's expanded it. And with me, I'm not threatened by that. I do what I do. That's it. I'm happy, with that. And so hats off to him. Now, this generation of kids, I've asked, it's interesting because I've been at TSU now 22 years, and I asked this generation of kids, what do you think about Tyler Perry? Something has changed. These kids now are saying, well, he's all right. You know what I mean? And not in what they're saying. They've been exposed to so much more through the media, through the phone. They see so much now.
You got a lot of content creators that are doing like Country Wayne and others on there. They do the little they do the things on Facebook like Country Wayne and people like that. And so I think it's important for us though because a lot of young people don't know about the ensemble. And so I know it's a staple in our community. I go to the ensemble, but a lot of young people, they're not going to the theater. And they're not being, I don't believe that there's an outreach to them. I really enjoy what the Edison Arts Foundation is now going to be doing out in Fort Bend, Houston, over in the Briargate area of Fort Bend County, because they just took over a old Kroger shopping center and completely renovated, but they're going to have dance and plays and theater, and the ensemble is actually going to be coming out there. So I think that's a positive. So, but I think there has to be more outreach to our young people if we want to get them involved to appreciate plays that Thomas Melanson has written or that you bring to the table, Denise. And so final thoughts as we close this segment. What would you like to leave people with? Are you guys working on anything that we need to talk about on today as far as the community awareness?
We have we got the Play Festival coming in June. Every January and June we do the 10-minute Play Festival. So that's coming. And then in the fall we are producing a one-act play of a playwright who is from Houston, but is kind of what's the word? It's he just has not had the promotion that he probably should have. So we're producing his work. However, in 2027, we have become the recipient of a major grant from the American Theater Wing. We were 1 in 5 to get this grant, so I'm extremely blessed to get it. We're rolling out a new product. It's a trilogy of kind. It's a trilogy, just like you see Seasons of miniseries. You'll see like Game of Thrones. You'll see that, and they'll finish that first season, and then a few months later they'll do the second season, and so on. So we will be doing a project called the Trilogy. We have a name for the product and everything, but that's coming out. And over a series of seasons, you'll see the first play. It'll end in a cliffhanger, and then the second play a few months later will carry on that cliffhanger, and then the last play will resolve it all. So Mr. Malan-san is a great mentor of mine. I joke him all the time, but I am truly honored that he will be one of the consultants to work with these playwrights. We found 3 playwrights that have been repetitively winning playwrights for the Play Festival over the last few years. One playwright is from Houston, and she's a female, so we're so proud and happy to have her in. But we have 2 men and a female, and they got together. I locked them up in a room in a hotel and said, come up with an idea. They came up with a great idea, and they're already working on it because it needs to be ready by January 2027. So Mr. Malan-san gave me a hard time at first, but then he said, I'll do it. So he's the one that they have to kind of submit their draft to. He will be the final look of their draft, and he'll look it over and say it's ready to be submitted to the executive team before we go into pre-production and rehearsal. So that's what's coming. And so if you are a part of what we do, come to the play festivals and join the family, and then take the ride with us for this new product. It's never been done in the nation, I don't think. I think that was why we got the grant, because it hadn't been done before. But that's going to be 3 seasons for us in 2027.
Awesome. Final thoughts from you, Mr. Malan-san.
Continue to tell our beautiful stories about our people and use the stage as a medium to legitimize our culture.
Amen to that. Let's give it up for the Thomas Malan-san and Miss Denise O'Neal. All right, y'all. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring the guru behind Trending Tuesdays, none other than Miss Danette K. Davis, y'all.
All right. Woo. Wow. That was amazing. We're going to run something for you real quick. Jeff, you ready? It's a clip from, I think it's Thomas. Right? Okay.
My purpose in terms of a playwright, these are real people in my head that I write about and real challenges. So what humbles me and keeps me grounded is the fact that I never lose sight that I'm not doing them a favor. Mm-hmm. They're doing me a favor by allowing me to, without asking them, to sit down for several weeks or several months and write a story about them. And when I was, I've seen my play at Main Street, a couple of productions now. And the first, I had not seen it. I was at the table read. Okay. The first table read. Wow. And that art, I was just like speechless. In fact, when they were doing the table read, I did not look at them. I looked away because now I want to hear voices. This is the first time I heard these voices. I didn't want, because they were not acting, they were just going through the words. So they were wondering, why am I looking that way? Because I didn't want to interrupt, I didn't want to mix who they were. I just heard voices. Then on opening night, the voices became human beings.
Wow, that's when you really experienced it.
And I said, whoa, and that was a kind of nervousness. And I was, the only word I can use is that I just felt so privileged and not, I just felt, wow. So that's Stagger Lee. This is Naomi. This is Roger. All these people walking out on stage. So it just makes me feel very, very happy.
All right. I just wanted them to play a little something. We had several clips. We had even one back to what was it, Donahue?
Oh, Lord.
Y'all know how old that is.
Donahue.
If you don't know who Donahue is, it's okay.
Lord.
You know what I'm saying? But if they tell you how long he's been interviewing and what we found, he's just showing you the picture. I'm like, look at him, man. Yeah.
Oh, Lord,
there you go. That's Thomas in the
Get out of here.
Right? Look at those folks. Everybody's clean cut.
Oh, my Lord.
Is that the fatness?
I was scared to death, too.
Look at that.
You got about you did a 1.5 on the applause meter with your question. Perhaps you'd
All
like to explain that, Thomas.
It was
All right.
only as a technique. I got that question from a lot of people. I've been asked that question. The idea is not to silence the black woman. The idea in the script is not to give the impression that the black women don't have a right to communicate. The sister in the play also played the roles of a dancer, and in various
All right,
acts,
we're gonna
we
pull
have
it.
her.
All right, look at it sounding like Malcolm X. Somebody. Yeah, you know, I don't know if y'all remember Thomas Malone sound like I do. I don't know if you remember when he played that guitar and was singing, and he had dreads or had the African. Yeah, he had the dashiki on. I don't know. We weren't as woke back then as we are now. See, seeing him like that back then was a whole nother kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So where we are now, for you to have you here, and just so you know, now I'm Danette Davis, and this is K. Davis Associates, and this is K. Davis in the Community. But when I was working at Texas Southern University and doing work at the ensemble, Thomas wrote That Berries Are Sweeter. He didn't mention that. And it was about HBCUs. See, now you young people who, now, you know, you guys get it, and you go to HBCUs. But back then, we were trying to run the Rice and University of Texas, and not because they were great schools, but we would, you know, we didn't understand like we did now. And I toured. It was 2 adults and a bunch of college students. You know, we got out of there with our life, you know, traveling with those college students on a bus, going to HBCUs. But I did that. Thomas wrote the play. And then I was fortunate enough to direct for him a show, the show about breast cancer.
Oh, that's right. Lord.
I mounted that show for him, and it was a women's organization. This was years later. Thomas, you've been a force for a very long time. And this play is about excellence in black. Okay? And so everybody that you're going to hear tonight is just that. They're excellent in a way that is unusual. They're breaking barriers, and they're still doing the work. Now, K. Davis in the Community, you know, we do what we can. You see, we're over here in Sunnyside. You know what I'm saying? And that's on purpose. It was not by accident. When it was the cheapest land, it's because we chose to be in the community. And I want to mention a couple of things. One thing which you see behind me is called Kay's Closet. And this was inspired by a niece that I lost who passed away. But and she had this love for clothes and for things. So what we'll do after the show, if you guys, they told me now it's thrifting, which is, you know, I love it. Young people, you know, going to a resale shop. And they good with it, or what have you, and stuff like that. But this is a pop-up, and we'll formally have a place on some land we have over in Isabella, 3rd Ward. You know, I keep it real. After we get there, but we'll do pop-ups very soon. I want Tanya, can you come up just for a sec? We're gonna do something. I think, Jeff, you probably hit it on it early. But you know, Tanya works with us a lot, and she does a lot of things. She's over there with Bishop Dixon, and they do their thing. But she's gonna share with you just a little bit. I think we know, but we're gonna do it for the record. So we run this thing back.
For the record, it is voting season. And as host Jeff said earlier, your vote is your voice. Nobody knows what you're thinking, what you're desiring, what you're saying unless you speak out. And you speak out in the political world by your vote. Your vote matters. And why does your vote matter? Because your life matters. And we want to thank Pure Justice, Transformative Justice Coalition. You might see the big bus with John Lewis photo on it and saying go vote and everything, riding through the city of Houston, because we're everywhere. We are there getting people to vote, not only just encouraging them to get out to vote, giving them voter educational information, as well as saying if you need a ride, get on the bus. Right. And we'll take you to the polls. And so let's give it up for Transformative Justice Coalition. Thank you for Bishop Dixon, NAACP, and all of the other partners that are partnering with us in getting the vote out. And guess what? It is making a difference. We are at an all-time high with Democratic early voting right now. So guess what? Let's keep it rolling, people. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not remiss in saying Denise. I met Denise, and that fade to black thing, since, you know, somebody in theater, when you watch something new, when you see something new, you know, this is about first and about you barrier breakers, you know, coming up on that second half, what have you. To me, what Denise was doing was new. in that it was these short little plays, but she had the writers, and everybody was homegrown, and they were writing their own piece. And I had some folk that I was fortunate enough to who had not been actors, and I'd worked with them or what have you, and they invited me over to this show they were so excited about, and it was something that Denise was producing, and they were actors now, and it's just for those of us who are in this business, when we see people do this kind of thing because they love it, not because we all get paid well, God knows, but there's a message always. So I want to thank you as well for coming on, and you as well, Thomas. So, Jeff, I want you to take it away. Thank you.
Hello, mic check 1, 2, and the place to be is none other than JB. What's up, everybody? We're back, Trending Tuesdays. I am over here at the table, and I'm excited to bring on my 2 new guests who are trendsetters, history makers of their own. And so I want to start to my left, and that's none other than current Houston City College. It's City College now, right? I got that right?
You got
Houston
that right.
City College trustee, none other than the Prieta Vanderbilt Stallworth.
Thank
Let's
you.
give it up, y'all. Come on, Trinity. So y'all, my in-studio audience, y'all gonna have to wake up in here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all been working the polls all day. Is that what it is? I know I have. I've been there from 7 to 7. Anyway, and also to my right, we have Miss Jade Simmons. She is a world-renowned classical pianist, and we'll get into some other things about her life that you'll find extremely interesting. Let's give it up for her. I'm talking about none other than Jade Simmons. All right, Prieta. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are.
Miss Prieta, you were the first black engineering graduate from Rice University.
Graduate school, yes.
Right.
Not intentional. My undergraduate year was 1983, and there were no jobs. There were no jobs. We were literally wallpapering our dorm rooms with rejection letters. Everybody. And so I decided to stay to get a doctorate originally. They gave me a scholarship to get a doctorate. And it just so happened that my father died that fall. So I survived, and I made it through the master's program at Rice. And I just found out that I was the first black to get a graduate in engineering degree about 6 months ago.
Really?
They never made it a point to look that up or archive it or highlight it. So I found out about 6 months ago.
Wow, that's interesting. And what year was this? I mean, I'm not trying to.
1984.
In
1984. It took that long for them to figure that out.
And not until 2025, late 2025, is when you found out that you were the first.
Yep, and it was after I received the Graduate Engineering Alumni Award for my engineering work.
From Rice?
From Rice.
Wow. How did that make you feel? I'm just curious.
It was a little unsettling because I had not paid attention to it. When we left, I went to Edwards Air Force Base. I was actually a rocket scientist. I've had a very interesting pathway to success, if that's what you want to call it. But I actually programmed for the carbon fibers and fabrics for the O-ring for the solid rocket booster. That's after the explosion, after we lost the Challenger. So my job was to literally program hundreds of equations because there were iterations that were not being done appropriately, and you could not do it by hand. And so in 8 weeks, I coded 600 lines.
Wow. So you never know who is who, y'all. I mean, just by looking at it, people look at me and they don't know I used to rap. But see, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. All right, now we're gonna come back to you, Prieta. Now we're gonna go to Miss Jade Simmons. I mentioned that she's a world-renowned classical pianist who's performed at venues like the White House and other places. But this is what you really need to know. She is a beauty pageant queen, and she was Miss Chicago, she was Miss Illinois, and she was first runner-up for Miss America in 2000. And so, Jade, And let me tell you something else. She ran for president as an independent in 2020, and she got 16 electoral votes. And she now is a candidate for U.S. Senate in the upcoming November elections, y'all. So she is a bad girl. Let's give it up. Come on, Jade.
All right.
So let's start with the classical pianist part.
Yeah.
So what did you start playing? Was this the parents just put you in classes and that's how you learn, or it was a God-given gift?
No, it was the opposite. I actually started playing when I was, we say old in the world of classical music. I didn't start playing piano until I was 8 years old. So if you think about Mozart, Beethoven, and all those guys, they were playing at 3, 4, 5 years old, 6 years old. So I got a late start, but I loved it so much that I practiced all the time. I ended up at Northwestern University as an undergrad. Then I came here to Houston to go to Rice at the Shepherd School of Music. So I graduated with my master's many years ago. And then now I am currently in grad school again. I just got my master's in government, in American government, and I'm getting a PhD in international studies, government as well. So, I think what has been probably the trademark of my life, and I owe this to my parents, is that they've always let me explore. They actually never said I could only do one thing. So one of my least favorite pieces of advice is to stay in my lane, because I believe that we get whole highways created for us, and that in the span of a lifetime, we have the mandate to actually navigate between all the lanes. So when people say, how do you go from classical music to politics, the through thread was purpose. So my purpose is not to play the piano. My purpose is to activate audiences into becoming the biggest, boldest version of themselves possible. That means that I get to do that as an author, I get to do it as a coach, a business owner, and now I get to do it in the world of politics. So I think the message I always want to leave is that you don't have to wait for permission to shake up systems that have never been serving you in the first place. So I'm here today as an uncommon candidate, one that I know makes people a little bit uncomfortable. You said in the beginning, you spent about 5 solid minutes. You had a commentary. You told us about how important voting is. We all agree voting is important. It's our voices, this woman said. But you also said we should be spending more time in voter education. Here's what you don't know. If you want to see an independent or just another option, this year, if you're a Democrat, you got lucky. You got maybe 2 candidates that you like. You might not be worried about who wins. But in other years past, we know what it's like to go to the polls and feel like you're voting the lesser of 2 evils. What's wild is that when you vote in the primary, using your voice as you should, if you then decide in November you want to see an independent, you want to see another option, you can vote for them in November, but only if they're on your ballot, right? Well, take this, to get on the ballot, independent has to gather signatures to get on the ballot. You can't sign the petition if you vote in the primary. So what the system does is it has you do its dirty work for it. It has you eliminate all of your options before you even get to the polls, and then by the time you get there, you don't recognize any new faces and voices on it. So it's not just about voting, but it's about deciding now that no matter what party you're in, it must serve you, and you must see them, not just in an election year. This is what I think we must all now begin to stand for more powerfully.
All right, I'm going to come back to you because we're going to talk about this beauty pageant career as well. So, Priyata, you're a trustee over at Houston City College.
I am.
So, engineer, she talked about purpose and, why, she said, why classical pianist to politician? She said it was by her purpose-driven life, in essence.
In essence, that's pretty good.
What about you? Engineer, doing stuff with NASA and space shuttles, politics.
Well, it was education. The late Elizabeth Spates appointed me to the first established board for Houston City College, which was then Houston Community College. And I was terrified because she was my mother's best friend, and I never wanted them to ever walk into the board room because I knew at that point I would die. They were tough women. They did not play. So I had to always be on point. And I agree, our pathways are exactly that. My pathways are parallel, and most people don't really understand that because education for me was the way that I moved into from one profession to the other. I was a chemical engineer. I was not a programmer, but I had to program at NASA. I had to program at Edwards Air Force Base. That was the requirement. And when I left Edwards Air Force Base, my next job had nothing to do with programming. So I think that when we are trained appropriately, and I was literally trained by my father. I was a little girl, and most little girls, you know, they liked jewelry and hair and clothes and all that. I was under the car with my dad, and my first project under the car with my dad was to change the flywheel in the transmission. Wow. And so he and I changed the flywheel in the transmission after my mother had my hair done. So when I came out from under that car, she was livid. Because I looked real cute in the front, but all the back had grease and dirt and grass, and she looked at my dad. My dad walked backwards to that car and crawled back under that car and left me there with my mother. So whenever I was with him at his workbench or working on the cars, and I'd ask him questions about things, he said, you figure it out. Here's the paperwork, read it. You figure it out. If you get stuck, you can ask me a question. But you read it and you work on it until you make it work. And I would do that to everything. And I'm convinced that that is why I became an engineer, because I could always hear his voice. You figure it out. And so I loved teaching. I loved education. And I can tell anybody there is no excuse for you having to spend money to get a degree, because I didn't spend money to get any of my degrees. I always figured out how to get somebody else to pay for it or find scholarship funding for it. And there's always money for education until now. I am on a national board, the Association of Community College Trustees. We represent 1,500 community colleges, over 6,500 trustees, and 10 million students. And right now, the U.S. Department of Education has been cut in half, and the goal is to close it completely. What was shocking to us is that every year, all of the trustees, we converge in February on the Capitol so that we can talk to all of our representatives, the Senate and the House, to advocate for community colleges because our money was dwindling. And we just found out this was the first year, and I've been going since 2018, that the Democrats and the Republicans were on the same page about community college and what they were willing to do and how they were willing to help us. We had never seen that before. Right. So they understand our value. And I think the challenge was great because we needed to understand our value. Almost 25% of students in the four-year institutions come from community colleges.
That's right.
What would it look like without us?
That's right.
What would workforce look like without us? And so these things are very important, how we advocate. And I am chair-elect of that organization, and I had to write my own legacy statement for what I intend to do. And so it's perfect because I've been doing it all my life. So it's going to be easy to showcase what we do in Sunnyside because Sunnyside is my home. And I don't know if you all know that. Sunnyside is my home.
Oh, wow.
My parents purchased a house in 1954, 6 blocks from Worthing High School. So I am a product. I went to Worthing.
Oh, okay.
You know, I went to the better school.
Oh,
but,
no,
you know,
no. There's only one school on Scott Street, off Scott Street. Anyway, we keep telling your story.
But, you know, my mother had 5 brothers and sisters, and 3 of her siblings, she and 3 of her siblings had 6 kids each. So we kind of graduated from Worthing for 20 years straight. Every year we showed up for graduation because we had somebody in the family graduating. And it was a requirement from my families that we all had our diplomas and wanted to go to college, you went to college. And now my position as the chair-elect of this national organization is to bring to light how you take community engagement to collaborative education. And that's what I had to do in 2018 because District 9 was forgotten. Sunnyside was forgotten. Hiram Clark was forgotten. Westbury was forgotten. District 9 was forgotten. And it was my job to bring light to that. And I don't know if anybody really realizes that now Sunnyside is no longer an affordable living community. The average price of a home is over $200,000. And so there's an intent to shift. And the way to do that is to dismantle the education system, dismantle the feeder pattern. If you can shut down Worthing High School, and it is now an early college high school, Dr. Kalila Campbell and I. When I got in 2018, she was working on Worthing becoming an early college high school, and we made that happen. When your high school becomes an early college high school, it automatically increases the value of your property in the region.
That's right.
It automatically increases it. So now we are in a battle because the intent is to shut Worthing down and dismantle the feeder pattern. And we can't allow that to happen. In early college high school, a student in high school can now get a 2-year degree, and we now have 5 4-year degrees at Houston City College. So they can get a 4-year degree while they're in high school, or they can do levels 1, 2, and 3 certification in skills and trades, in AI, robotics, cybersecurity, in healthcare, in construction trades. They can get that in high school for free.
Wow.
And for free, no cost, not a dime.
That's right.
But there is an intent to dismantle the feeder pattern and close Worthing High School.
Wow.
And so on Thursday, we will be at Sunnyside Multipurpose Center having a very candid conversation with all of our organization groups. We are now at 700 students. If that number of students drops below 500, Superintendent Mike Miles has a legal right to shut Worthing down and not reopen it.
Wow. All right, we're gonna come back to that. Jesus. So Jade, I mentioned that I was gonna come back to you about, not only did you want to be a classical pianist and perfect that, now you want to be a beauty pageant queen.
Not really.
Okay, tell me how that came about. Because you was Miss Chicago, Miss Illinois, and you was almost Miss America.
Yep, I was. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina originally.
Okay.
And so to piggyback on what Dr. Stallworth was saying, all I was concerned about was going to college. I also didn't have to pay for any of my schooling. And one of the reasons was because I was a musician. And so a young black female classical concert pianist was pretty rare, even when I was coming out of high school in '96, in the early 2000s. So that's where I got most of my scholarship from. Someone saw me at an event supporting another young woman who was in a pageant, heard me practicing, and said, you should do this pageant. And I said, I don't do pageants, that's not my thing. I'm just focused on going to college. And they mentioned, well, the Miss America organization is actually a scholarship program. So we actually don't like the word beauty pageant.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And so Miss America thinks of itself as a scholarship organization because it is. It is actually the largest scholarship provider in the world for young women.
You know people gonna still call it
yeah,
beauty
what?
pageant.
That's
Okay?
all right. As long as we set the record straight. Now,
Yes,
what
indeed.
you were talking about education is so crucial because when I was coming up, we heard Danette say, you didn't go to HBCUs, you were supposed to go to Rice, you were supposed to go to Harvard. Well, my husband is military. When we were growing up, you didn't go to military, you had to go to college, right? So there were all these stereotypes that as we look at now are coming back to bite us. Air conditioning engineering is at a loss right now. They don't have enough technicians. So if you go into air conditioning right now, you actually can make a lot of money because there is a lack of supply of those technicians. And so at Miss America, when I came in first runner-up, I was devastated because I had already planned I was going to win Miss America 2000. I had it all worked out. But my platform issue was youth suicide prevention. Now, we see all the fun made about beauty pageants. These girls stand on stage, they stumble in the top 5, make a fool of themselves, and you never hear about them again. But the truth is the majority of those women are not only extraordinarily talented in education, but if you were me competing in that year, as a 22-year-old, I testified in front of Congress on behalf of mental health funding in 1999, right after the reason I did that was right before I went to Miss America, Columbine happened. If you remember the Columbine tragedy, Jonesboro, Arkansas happened, yet nobody was talking about youth suicide, mental health, mental illness, especially in the black community. People warned me, don't go to Miss America with that platform because it's too dark. But right before we went, these tragedies happened. Even though I was first runner-up, again, I still re-answer my top 5 question to this day. But even though I was first runner-up, I ended up touring more than Miss America, because suddenly youth suicide, mental illness, and mental health funding was a top issue. And so the Miss America program, I love how God does this, right? He'll take you into one space and you think you answered the call for one reason, and then you'll find out you were there for a whole other. And so I toured the year. I spent all over Illinois, but because the issue was hot button, I traveled the entire nation speaking on youth suicide prevention. And so even though we are 20 years later to this day, this is still an issue that is still stigmatized, and people are still suffering. So I believe my Miss America journey, as fun as it is to talk about, I did all the things. We had to do the swimsuit competition, all that stuff. We played piano on television, on live television, right? A minute and a half, I had to play Chopin Etude. It was practically impossible, but I did all those things. That was great. The gowns was great. The glamour was great. But what came out of it was that I understood that the power of your voice had so much power to transcend what you look like, where you came from. You could use this voice powerfully. So I was really privileged to be in that organization. And today, as I run for US Senate, one of my issues is a focus on mental health and mental illness awareness, because we are still in a dearth in those areas. So, the beauty pageant thing was fun, but what it did was it alerted me to all the issues that even just one person could make a difference in. There's something about when one person takes an issue and it catches fire, and they dare to say, this is something we must look at as a community. That's when a fire, catches. That's when movement really begins to start. So I'm excited now that all those days in college, all those days as an artist, they're coming back. Mr. Thomas Melanson said that he wanted to see the art still have an impact. I'm not leaving that behind. People say, how do you feel becoming a politician? I consider myself the anti-politician. And what I mean by that is, I think we need a new type of servant that's actually dedicated to being a public servant. It'd be kind of nice to put the word servant back in, public servant. And as an artist, I know what it's like to serve people in multiple ways, to serve the whole person. When you say, what's the connection? I think we need a new sound. We need a new sound, not just in politics, but we need a new sound in community building. And that sound is something that can only be created by people who are deciding now that there must be a symphony that's going to be created when we move differently. And so I think an artist has a unique opportunity. We don't have to stay in our practice rooms. I hate when they tell athletes, stay on the court, keep it over there. No, we have different worldviews, and I think now that an artist coming out gets the chance to paint a different picture, to create a different sound, and I believe that people are ready for that sound. So when people say, what do you know about the issues? Well, we've lived the issues. You look at our forefathers, those guys weren't lifetime politicians. They did their business, they went to DC, they served their time in government, and they came back and they gave back to their communities. That's what we're supposed to do. So I'm excited about how all of these different experiences gives us the opportunity to bring something new to the landscape.
So, final question that I have for you both is, what is the biggest issue you see facing the African American community today, right now, in February 2026, during Black History Month, and how do we solve it, if at all? I'll start with you.
I think it's the dismantling of our political power and the erasing of our history. I have a nonprofit, TPT, Community Development Corporation, and thanks to Debbie Allen, we have a tagline, which is Trailblazers. She said, you need a tagline. So I was like, it's just TPT, because engineers just think like that. We're not artistic. We have no clue. But she said, Trailblazing Pathways Together. And I am a TED.com organizer. And TED.com is in 140 countries. And so what I did is I created a TED Talk, and it was Sylvester Turner, Rodney Ellis, and Reginald DeRoche, who's president at Rice University. And the reason I created it was for men, Black men, to go to the doctor. Because I lost 3 friends in 3 weeks from preventable diseases. And it shattered my world because they were all very close to me, from kindergarten to high school. and it shattered my world. And so I created that. And those 3 men spoke their truth. And Sylvester Turner told his own cancer story. He told it. And so I use the TED.com platform for us to speak our own truths. And it's amazing that in November, I interviewed, there were 2 people that did TED Talks. Mrs. Willie Lee Gay, who has her own Texas history archive. She was my 7th grade history teacher at Woodson Junior High School. And the state of Texas archives all of her historical documents and pictures. And I never knew that. And she was my 7th grade history teacher. And Mrs. Audrey Williams Dorsey, who was the first teacher to break the segregation barrier for HISD teachers. Wow. And she is the mother and the mother-in-law of my 2 friends that I grew up with. And I'm saying, how is it that I don't know my own history? How did this happen? I knew these 2 women practically all my life, and I never knew what they did as far as our history is concerned. And so now I'm on a mission that these TED Talks are going to be extraordinary. I am asking one of my fellow Rice alum, because I went to Texas Southern, I was in the chemistry department. They actually let me in the laboratories, and I tried to blow them up a couple of times and it didn't work. But they actually let me into the chemistry labs. I loved it because I had professors who were my mentors, Dr. Bobby Wilson, the late Dr. Edward L. Booker, and the late Dr. Paul Thurston. They were my heroes. And they pushed me, and they had me ready for Rice. That when I stepped into Rice, I knew chemistry better than they did. And so I'm so thankful for that opportunity to have gone to an HBCU and graduated, and having Rice in engineering. No matter how tough it was, I could always hear those men in the back of my mind. You know, this is your standard. You're gonna have to rise to this standard. And so I'm using that platform to tell our stories. 18 minutes to tell our stories. And they go to 140 countries. You can't pay for that kind of marketing. Yeah. And I am really grateful that these men and women agree to stand on my stage and tell their story. And by the way, it is called TEDx Sunnyside.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Let's give it up, y'all, for Dr. Prieta Vanderbilt Stallworth. All right, Jade, same question to you.
You know, we talked earlier, you introduced me as a concert pianist, but I actually make my career day combining my music with inspirational and motivational speaking. I'm honored to speak to Fortune 100 and 500 companies all over the world. And what I can tell you is that the one thing that I'm seeing that's disturbing me, where when we say our people, we're specifically talking about African Americans, is that you're wanting to help us tell our story. And I feel like what we sometimes are doing are allowing not only our stories to be told for us, but allowing our issues to be ignored under the guise of attaining power. And sometimes what happens is the parties, whatever side we're on, aren't really telling our story, and they aren't really stumping for our issues. So what's happening is that our issues are being reframed. So you'll hear it on the right saying, we're gonna take away DEI, and then we follow that thread and say, don't take DEI from us. We never asked for DEI, we asked for justice. Yeah. We never asked for DEI, we asked for equality. We never asked for DEI, we asked for you to just get out of our way and let us do what we do. Let us be excellent, and the excellence will speak for itself. So we must take that issue back. On the left, we hear a lot about reproductive rights. No matter where you stand on the issue, why aren't we hearing more about Black maternal health? The fact that Black women are dying in the birthing room more than any other population. So if we aren't careful, our voice gets stolen from us, and then we'll be told, stay quiet, just play nice. And then when we get there, we'll deal with your issues. Now, I am proud the way that my parents raised me. I was in ballet and African dancing. Black church, grew up in the beginning. In the end, I was in a charismatic, mostly white church. So listen, I'm comfortable in all the spaces. And as a US Senator, I am representative of all people. But when black people get in office, we must not be afraid to still stand up for black people issues. My father is a civil rights activist to this day in Charleston, South Carolina. And when I tell you that if I were in the White House, if I had made it to the White House and I was in there talking sideways, he would protest outside of that White House to make sure that his daughter was not just towing any party line. So I think the most powerful thing we must do now is decide what our issues really are, and not just depend on allies to help us get there, but for once raise up our own candidates, raise up our own methods of power, and be unafraid, I should say, to shake up the system so that it benefits us. Here's what's wonderful. This is historical. When black women and black people in general rise, we have this interesting habit. We always bring everybody with us. It has never been in our methodology to exclude. It's just not, for whatever reason. My father has his own reasons about it, but that's what we do. So the funny thing is, when we are in power, we can be trusted with power in a different way. And black women, I believe, have a unique era. I'll be very careful here because I don't know where everybody falls politically, but be very careful and pay attention. When you are finally raising up the people that you believe in, and you're always told it's not their time. That happens to us every election cycle. Ask President Obama, it happened to him as well. And we have to at some point say, this is the time to do something differently. And I believe that, like we have always done in every movement, black people will be crucial to any breakthrough this nation has ever seen. So when I say Happy Black History Month, I am not only talking to black people, I am talking to every nation on earth that has ever benefited from black civilization, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a single one that has not.
All right. Let the church say amen. All right. The doors of the church is open. We got a...
Hey, listen, I am a minister.
We got a chair up here that's empty. Anybody got the offering plate?
I do.
You can donate to Jade Simmons for Senate.com. We'll take it.
All right, everybody give it up for Miss Jade Simmons, y'all. All right, y'all, that'll do it over here with Trinity Tuesday. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. And until next time, let's toss it over to the net K. Davis, y'all.
Oh man, this has been amazing. Jeff, you didn't say anything about running for treasurer at Fort Bend, but
I mentioned it.
I did you early. I must have missed. I just want to make sure.
You know, it's about the people tonight. You know?
Yeah, right. I know, right?
You can give to gerrymandering.com as well.
Okay, right. The other thing is too, I want to say, and it's so nice. You blew me away. I'm so glad that we had you come. And then Jade, my goodness gracious, y'all. When I met her, she was performing, I think we went to Las Vegas at a women's president's organization. And I mean, I had no idea she was from Houston. She tore that stage up. She went from playing the piano to walking out in the audience. And I'm like, who is that? You know, and she's come from that to be a friend. And we appreciate you being here as well. And I hope everybody enjoyed this wonderful, phenomenal show. Right? Okay. We're winding down now. I think a couple things. I think first what I want to do, I see this drink in my hand, but I want my brother to come up. I want y'all to meet Charles Davis. Okay. Come on. He didn't know I was going to do this, so I had to call his wife and say, y'all coming? But now they've never missed a show. We started a year and a half ago, Jeff, and he has not missed one. Wow. This is my brother. This is what you talk about family. This is my last sibling that's living, and he's here.
We're gonna let him host one.
Yeah, right. Be surprised or what have you. Okay, Charles, I do want you to know that I love you and happy birthday. And I want whatever you have, guys. We have some that's not liquor, just sparkling, whatever. Anything you got, you can raise it to say to Charles Davis, who's been my backbone, who introduced me to Black history. In high school, when I was at they told me now, I said, what is it, Chelsea? Predominantly white, PWI. I said, okay, what have you, but has always kept me grounded, had my back all my life, and has always been that guy. He's that guy in the church, he's that guy in his home. He lives that life that y'all talk about as far as who we are and what we should be doing, not only in the community, but at home with his family. I just want you to know that I love you, and there's nobody like you. So cheers.
Cheers. Happy birthday.
If we're going to sing, you have to let Jay sing. Y'all haven't heard her sing. Okay.
Well, this was a surprise. I am proud of my baby sister. And needless to say, she gave me a fit. But we made it through because of the upbringing that we had. But even though y'all tossing me tonight, something was said that I just have to address. And that came from Brother Malonson. Yes. He said he'd been married 54 years. Am I right? 54. Well, I want you to know I got you beat. Come on. Come on. Come on. All right. And I wish President Douglas was here because I met her at TSU. And it's been 57 years.
All right.
And I just, thank God, because the word says that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. And so I'm just grateful that we found, well, I don't know if I found her or she found me. I know one thing though, when I saw her, I said, wow, I gotta have it.
Yes, indeed. And you got it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh my God, thank you. Chef, would you come on out here? Since we're talking about, Chef is my husband, but he's back there. He's been cooking. If y'all been seeing him, he's been running back and forth, what have you, with food, as usual, as we close, or what have you. He's an organic chef, because he wants you to, we're K. Davis in the community, mind, body, and spirit is where we're community is what we do, it's who we are, but we believe, just like you said, Jade, I think earlier, we service the whole person. That's right. And we believe mind, we give scholarships, and we believe in education. We support schools, we sell furniture to schools, and we turn around and give back. We're here in Houston and Dallas, what have you, body, health, and wellness. My daughter who's here tonight teaches dance, and her son is a fitness director, and my husband preaches. If anybody knows him, it's always healthy food and greens, and I grew up in the country, so I just happen to like greens, so it works. We've been married 31 years, so praise the Lord. But I'm going to let him, Tanya, I'm going to let you say something, but I'm able to tell him about the menu. And then we got one more thing tonight, if afterwards you want to look around and browse his prices. But there's 2 paintings here, and we're saying auction them, what have you. So there's a starting price on them. These are collections, and like I said, Kay's closet was inspired by Keisha's closet. And these were things that, these are paintings. She loved black art. And I decided that we would auction them, and these are prices, and all the money, anything you give to me, goes to K. Davis in the community, and we give those things back. So know that it's never wasted, and they're under what they're worth. So if anybody finds anything interesting, everything we have, I think Ange is here, you over there, the mural, giant, national, international, we love art as a part of, because that spirit is that art, Jade, mind, body, and spirit. So anything that's arts, normally sometimes we have a live musician playing. It's always going to be that thing that makes you feel. We feel like art is how you feel. It's like, so you can be you, right? And so those paintings are available, and I think that's it for now. You want to share the food, and we'll have Tanya give some. Tanya always working on some project, so we're going to let her bring you home, and then we'll eat. Okay, thank you, Jeff. we're doing champagne, but we're trying to raise a few dollars, y'all. So with wine or anything else like that, of course, we're not a bar or anything, but if you want something else for $5, I think drinks and things like that, we have those things. You have to purchase a ticket. It's the way we do it. But champagne is on the house, and there's cookies. My husband's, from 2011, he sold his breads, and they were carried in Dunn's Brothers Coffee Shop and other places. And it's okay. I mean, you know what's going on right now, right? So any kind of noise, anything going on, could be going on, because we know what's going on TV right now.
Well, they put Congressman Green out already.
See, I'm just saying. Oh, wow. We knew this was going on while we were talking.
He held up a sign that says, "Black people aren't apes."
See? Only Houston. But let's not be lulled, because we think we blue. We have to stay vigilant and do what we have to do. We know what's on TV. So if you hear some noise, it's all good. Okay, you want to take them?
All right. Thanks again, you guys, for showing up in-house. We always appreciate a live and robust audience. Today's menu is inspired from seasonal greens that are available. So from every season, from spring to fall, we try to find the freshest, organically available sourcing. And tonight we have one of my favorite dishes, which is a Swiss chard and sardines with lots of herbs sauteed in olive oil, lightly salted. And then we have some organic okra sauteed, and we have roasted carrots just came out of the oven with a lot of herbs and things going on with those. And we've got some organic jasmine rice, and my favorite ground lamb herb saute. So it hits all the notes, healthy mind to healthy tummy, hopefully.
Thank you, Tanya. You want to come up? There you go. He's saying dinner served. So we're done. You can eat and mingle. Tanya, you want to come with your announcement? And we're done. Thank you all.
Yes. Thank you so much again. And it is about having a healthy mind, body, and spirit. And in that vein, we have coming up March 14th, the 3K, 5K. Oh, that's my weakness. That distracted me because I love
those. That's his cookies.
Those are my favorites. So I just got all distracted. We have the 3K, 5K charity walk, run, and cycle benefiting Samaritan's Feet at International. And that's an international nonprofit that we partner with. We partner with for over 20 years in helping to put shoes that fit properly on children's feet, locally and abroad. So we think about third world countries where children have no feet and they contract foot diseases that actually kill them. But here in the States, we also have it where children wear shoes that are too little, 2 and 3 sizes too little, all throughout our neighborhoods. This impedes their health, their posture, it impedes their mental health and their behavior. So we're asking that you partner with us. This is kicking off the 2nd annual Health, Food, and Fitness Fun Fest, March 14th, held at the Community of Faith Church in partnerships with the Community of Faith Church, Compassion in Action, Harris County Precinct 1, Harris County's Public Health, and about 50 other partners. We have breast screening, cervical screening, immunizations, things for your pets, free microchipping. The family, come on out, and it's all free. So just go to the communityoffaith.org, and you can actually, there you go, the information is on the screen. Just click that QR code and get all the information you need. Thank you to Danette Davis. Thank you to Jeff Boney. Thank you to all of our amazing guests today. Wasn't this a phenomenal show?
Yes.
Yes, we have been fed well. Thank you so much. And all here right. We are taking it away.
That's right. We're gonna. These are for you. We're down. We off there? Okay. All right. We are. We're down. So I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Just wait. Got the food ready. Yeah, it's coming.
April, no, that's the
As Lauren is telling me, if you would sign in if you haven't, and like, subscribe, what is it? Like, share, subscribe to our channel, please. so you can know when we're going to do another fantastic show. And I think my husband is saying the cookies are...
how we do
Oh. Put the